All right, the Reds, it's Pete Bolster, it's the Spion Kop, and I have Christopher Griffiths-Gripton with me. We've beaten Fulham by 2-0 to put us right into the mix of that top 5, with 4 points clear of Chelsea now, who play later today against Manchester City. So hopefully City do us a favour, and hopefully they do us a favour just to beat Arsenal in the title race, because I'm quite enjoying that one, Chris. We're going to be discussing all about the PSG build-up and whether we can overturn that 2-goal deficit and make another lovely comeback at Anfield. And we will be discussing the media, who are reporting that Arne Slot will be in charge next season. Is it all smoke and mirrors? Will it happen? And what will that mean for Liverpool moving forward and Arne Slot? Well, first of all, Chris, there's nowhere else to start, because Liverpool were winners yesterday against Fulham. We got the 3 points, which is absolutely integral for us to qualify for the Champions League next season. If we didn't win yesterday, and we're going into this with only 1 point from the previous 3. So if you just forget about the FA Cup quarter-final and the first leg of the Champions League in the first instance, Liverpool got 1 point in 9, and that was only against Tottenham at home, which was miserable enough. Liverpool had to win yesterday, and they have to keep getting these wins if they're going to have any chance of playing Champions League football next season. So just for that reason, it was a great day at Anfield.
Absolutely. It's nice to start the show with a smile on a face for a change. It's been a bit doom and gloom of recent. But yeah, I made 3 points. We're home in Anfield. Clean sheet. So refreshing. So refreshing. A better performance. We've seen a little bit more of a press than what we've seen of recent. There was the effort there. There was a bit more energy about them. And they looked like they wanted to be in the game yesterday. Listen, it wasn't perfect by any means, but you know what? A small step forward is better than none at all, isn't it? And to get them points and to get that clean sheet, and such a critical time as well, really, based on what you've just said there with Chelsea to play City and the draw with Brentford. Absolutely superb.
I wasn't as positive yesterday going into the game for all the reasons I've outlined already. But when I seen the team sheet drop and I seen Rio Ngumoha in there, and Liverpool looked like they had a little bit more intensity, even the fact that Ekitike wasn't playing. So some people bemoan Cody Gakpo, but I think Hugo Ekitike recently has gone really off the boil. He doesn't look like he's connecting and making those links with the rest of his teammates. I think just having a proper front three yesterday, and listen, we know Ekitike is part of that proper front three, and Gakpo's got his limitations in that centre forward role. But I just thought the team sheet, when that come in, it just made me think with the Andy Robertson at left back, Liverpool look like they're going to have more purpose. And for me, that was the night and day difference yesterday, that Liverpool did have more purpose. They had more intent and a little bit more tenacity in everything that they did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's difficult to go into a game with confidence and belief at the moment, isn't it? It really is, unfortunately, to say. But at least now we've come out of it and we know that, okay, you can do a job when you need to do it. So let's make sure we do that going towards the end of the season. The only thing that sort of caught me off guard a little bit with the team sheet when I seen it is a bit like, we've spoken in the past about how Wirtz and Ekitike link up. He's moved Wirtz into the middle and then dropped Ekitike and played Gakpo, and I just didn't understand why. I don't feel Gakpo had the greatest of games, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. We won. It was 2-0, clean sheet, 3 points, so important, coming to really is the business end of the league now. So it's it's
Rio Ngumoha is the one that everyone's talking about.
Rio.
It still sounds a bit mank, that, to be honest with you. I still don't know if I'm quite comfortable with it. He's going to have to score a lot more goals for me to actually buy into that chance. But Rio Ngumoha obviously was fabulous. He's not perfect by no means, because he's a young lad, and I think that's where he has the best supporters who are intelligent and know quite well that he's not going to do everything brilliant all the time. There was moments when he was down the left-hand side and he should have pulled it back to Andy Robertson, and he didn't, and he hit the goalkeeper. There was moments when he kept hold of the ball too long. All of that aside, I actually still think he's the best left winger at the club. And for that reason, he needs to be starting more football games. The fact that it was only his second start in the league this season is, to me, well, that shouldn't be happening. But let's accentuate the positives for a moment, Chris, because that goal was out of this world. And I was in the corner of it. And all I remember was the fella behind me saying to Florian, well, shouting to Florian Wirtz, it's too fucking late for the pass to Rio. Well, it wasn't. And first of all, when you look back, I think there was 5 Fulham players in the penalty area, and there was Mohamed Salah and there was Rio Ngumoha. And the fact that he used 2 footballers as a disguise to whip it round, and where I was, you could see the bend, the proper whip, and it was just. When you watch it back on the telly, it's very much the same as what I seen in the ground. It was unbelievable, and he had no right to score that goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was good to see the goal anyway. It looked a good goal, but it wasn't until afterwards that I seen the highlights of it that I seen how much of a whip was on that, because it really did have to start at the outside of the post. The defender was covering that far side of the goal and probably a little bit beyond the post. So he's had to get it round, he's had to get it past the defender, he's had to get it back in again. And he's done that with some pace as well, because it wasn't a slow shot, it had some whip on it. But wow, what a kid. What an absolute
I don't think there's
kid.
many footballers in the world right now who score goals like that. And certainly on that left-hand side, do you think about it? So Bayern Munich, we'll talk about Luis Diaz.
I don't think there's many who've got the confidence to try it. Never mind actually pull it off.
No, and that's an excellent point, Chris, because he's for such a young lad. I think he has that. People talk about the fact that he's only young as a negative. I think that he's young is a positive, because he hasn't got that baggage that the rest of the Liverpool side have got. So all those difficult moments, he hasn't got that horrible memories that are distorting or disrupting his play. So he's being able to do that. Maybe, well, you have seen it with Mohamed Salah. You see it earlier in the game. For me, he seems to have dropped off a lot because of his confidence as well. There was a moment when he had his back to goal, and I think it was Sepp van der Berg eventually makes the block, but he hesitates to shoot. But I think he only hesitates because he's lacking confidence. So he hesitated, and that little split second and that little second bite at it, Van der Berg then gets in. Rio Ngumoha hasn't got that negative memory impact of what's happened this season or previous seasons. He's just stayed in there. But I just think his absolute ability, all that's spot on what you're saying, by the way, Chris, but I think just his ability, if you think about world football now, or European football, there's not many left wingers. If you think about, I was going to say about Luis Diaz playing for Bayern Munich, who's 28, 29 years of age, there's not many wingers in the world that can score a goal like that. You'll talk about Lamine Yamal at Barcelona probably, but there's not many there.
No. Not at all. And he's something special. We've seen that from very early on. That's why we've been calling for him to get more time, because he's brought something different to the game. And we could see that from the Newcastle game, where he come on, he made the difference and he scored that goal. And it was a little bit similar, really. A little bit of whip onto it. He wasn't afraid to take it on. He put it into the side net at the far side of the goal, obviously on the right side of the post. And we could see then that something was special about him. We don't want to be overcritical, because we're on the back of something really good here with a nice result. I think just picking up on what you said about there was a couple of situations where he maybe could have passed and he's just done a little bit too much. I think really that's down to the management of him, because he's trying to say to the manager, he's out there to prove a point that he deserves to play games, and rightly so, he does deserve to play games. And I think most, if not all, fans would probably agree with that. So, I think for me, in his mind there, when there's a couple of chances where he maybe possibly could have passed, if he would have had more time, we may have seen him make them passes rather than trying to force.
No, I think that's a lot just down to experience, though, because he's 17, so they're not always going to make the right decision.
No, they're not. You're quite right. I think it's a bit of a mix. I think because he is also still trying to prove a point, because he done well in games, and he was left out for a few games, like he wasn't there. And I don't think that was fair on him, because I think you can say, okay, yeah, we want to protect him, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you do need to protect him to a certain point, but you've also got to let him learn. You've got to let him play his game, and we've seen that yesterday. We've seen he can learn. We've seen he can play the game, and we can see what he's done. That was something.
I don't understand the protecting arguments, me. I just don't know where it stands up, because, like we've just talked about, that he's brave in what he's doing in his decision making. When you talk about the Newcastle goal, it did make me think when you were talking then, I was thinking that was a long time ago, that. I mean, the difference between the Newcastle goal all the way back in August and that bank holiday and now, there's a chasm in the time difference, and you're thinking he should have played more.
Absolutely, I
don't think it's good enough. I think the only thing is his body. Like, you can see that he can only play 60 minutes, and then you see his game change where he's not impacting the game as much, and listen, he's only a kid and stuff like that. So that's when we talk about protecting him. But he should have been playing more. And I'll just go back onto what I said before, is that he's the best player at left wing at the club. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. But I want to talk about another footballer because I thought he was fantastic yesterday. And someone who's had so much criticism this season is Mohamed Salah. And I think what was so apparent, if you just take away that left-hand side for the moment, because it was a wonderful goal, but what Liverpool's problem is this season is that they don't look like they know how to score a Liverpool goal. And what was very clear was on that right-hand side, yesterday, there was a link-up between Jeremy Frimpong and Mohamed Salah, and then whoever was coming on the right-hand side. Florian Wirtz was helping at times. There was Curtis Jones. There was Szoboszlai. They were all interchanging. But there was that triangle, really, that was making incisive passes, incisive runs. Frimpong was absolutely delightful to watch. His pace is frightening, and his tenacity and how determined he is, I think, then allowed Mohamed Salah to go more centrally. And Salah then was starting to pull the strings and to score your 256th goal. We talk about Rio scoring his first goal at Anfield in the league. That was his 256th goal for Liverpool Football Club, which is just unreal. And if Liverpool are going to be successful between now and the end of the season, and we're not talking about anything winning, I'm just talking about qualifying for the Champions League, Salah has got to be massively part of that.
Joe, it's interesting what you've just said here, because very quickly, I didn't feel Frimpong had a great game. I didn't feel that he created a lot. Yeah, he's fast, but he got caught quite a lot. He got caught out in defensive part quite a lot. I think that was one of his worst games.
I think going forward, I thought he was brilliant. I thought Frimpong was absolutely brilliant.
I thought he lost the ball a few too many times for me. But anyway, let's go to Salah.
Let's stick on that a second, because if we just think about Frimpong, because we've had this thing that you think he should play further forward. I think his right-back performance yesterday was fantastic as a right-back. So I'm not looking at him as a front three player. I'm looking at him someone who's supporting the play. That's what my argument is.
Yeah, I felt he got caught out too much yesterday. I don't think it was his best game for Liverpool. I think he had much better games.
Tactically, he was pushed further forward. So when you watched it in the ground, Curtis Jones was filling in at right-back. So when Liverpool were in possession, he wasn't actually playing right-back. So it's when people used to say about Trent's getting caught out, he wasn't getting caught out. He was told to push up. And Andy Roberts getting caught up, now he's told to push up. So it's that sort of risk reward. I think that's what was happening yesterday.
Yeah, when I say get caught out, there was a few times where he was in sort of like not fully at right back, but he was in between the right back, right mid sort of area. And he was close enough to players, and they just sort of strolled past him. And it just, for me, I felt he could have done a bit more.
But the point with Salah is having a player to support the attack. So figure out defensively for a moment. What Frimpong did yesterday was offer that support. So he's not had a right back or a consistent right back behind him the entire season. So if you go back into the summer last season, forget about the unfortunate thing of Conor Bradley or Frimpong getting injured or whatever. If you just think about what the plan would have been. So the plan would have been to have Conor Bradley fit, to have Jeremy Frimpong fit, and to have this interchanging part of the play on that right-hand side, and it looked like it was working yesterday. You could see clear signs of where the Liverpool goal was going to come from. Salah scored. I know that eventually come from the left-hand side, but there were moments on that right-hand side that Liverpool looked so dangerous that it just made me a little bit sad, thinking, what could have been? Because people talk about Mohamed Salah's drop-off the season. I don't buy into the drop-off is as big as what everyone says. I think that there was a drop-off. There was discontent with the manager. Then massive confidence draining, basically. And then that's what the result is. If you look at Mohamed Salah right now, he has 20 goals and assists for Liverpool this season. Hugo Ekitike, when people talk about how good he is, he's got 21. So Salah is still up there, contributing to the very, very best of what's going on at Liverpool Football Club. That's what my point is.
Yeah, I think the issue with Salah is we've been spoiled for so long with him that, yeah, he is still doing a job. It's not the job that we've become accustomed to, but he's still doing a top-class job. Yesterday was something refreshing to watch from him. I don't know how much of it the game you watch back afterwards when you got home, but I watched it all the way back from probably about 30 minutes of the build-up through. And the ironic thing about it is part of that build-up, they were doing some reports while they were warming up on the pitch, and a ball was just stopped for Salah to curl one with his left foot, and he completely, just absolutely, he couldn't have got it any more wrong. He really couldn't have got it any more wrong. And I felt like there was a little bit of a snigger from the commentators saying, that's been a problem this season, blah, 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 blah. Then we get into the game, and he does that little bit of magic. It was a great little... It was a little touch from Gakpo. No one could have complained if he tried to shoot. He was just inside the area.
It was a good play, that, to be fair.
He was in the middle of the box, you know what I mean? He didn't get greedy. He seen Salah. He had the defender in front of him. He just touched it off for him. And then we got that left foot of Salah's that we've become accustomed to. Mirror image, really, of Gakpo's finish. Curls it round, starts the outside of the post, back into the inside.
Rio's finish.
Rio. Absolutely superb. Superb.
It was very textbook, Salah. There was a moment on the right-hand side, I think, I'm just trying to think where I was on the ground because it doesn't make sense where I was saying that. So it does, yeah. So on the right-hand side, he went to control the ball and it just went underneath his feet. I don't know if you remember that moment. It went out and there was a few sighs from the crowd. But what he was trying to do was, I think if you try and control the ball, it's very easy to control the ball. He was trying to control it with intent to knock it into the box and then to go and create a chance. And that's how quick these players are thinking, and that's how quick the balls come at them and how quick the Premier League is at times. They don't realise. And so I felt a bit bad for him. So that goal couldn't have come at a better moment for me. And the funny thing is that everyone inside the ground always loves it when a young lad scores a goal. But when Mohamed Salah put that in the back of the net, there was just a bigger roar, a bigger cheer, a bigger celebration. And it just meant so much to him. And then I seen Ibrahim Konate doing that to the crowd, just pointing at them. And it just showed to me that he's clearly been lacking confidence in them because his teammates are always trying to point towards him as if, like, come on, appreciate him. And that's what Liverpool fans should be doing. They should be appreciating him while he's here now, shouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And he's just shown yesterday that he hasn't lost it. He has still got it. Okay, it's not as frequent as what we were accustomed to. It's probably not as quick or clinical as what we were accustomed to. But that finish is something wicked. It's magic. It's something superb. You don't see it every day. Not every player can do that. And he shows that he's still got it. He can still do a job. So, it does fall back to a mix of confidence, support around him, tactics. There's a whole combination of things to lead to the season that's been there for most of these players. That change yesterday really suited Mo. We've seen that in his performance, we've seen that in his confidence, we've seen that with his finish.
I think yesterday was very unconvincing to me. There didn't seem a huge difference between Liverpool's performance yesterday than many other performances. So if you just take Manchester City and PSG aside, because Liverpool's games, whether they've been good, bad or ugly over the last couple of months, they've been very close. So if you just knock them two on the head, Liverpool's games have been they've been draws or they've been narrow defeats, not been good at all. But the clear difference yesterday was when Liverpool were, I don't want to say riding the luck. I don't think Fulham had made any great chances in that first half, but they were coming more into, especially territorial-wise. And then all of a sudden, bang, bang, Liverpool are 2-0 up. And to me, that was the difference of having goals in the team. Goals change games, goals change moods, goals change atmospheres, and they make the crowd calm. And that's exactly what happened yesterday.
Yeah. It wasn't a perfect performance by any means, but it was better. It was certainly better. I mean, it could have got any worse, really, but it was better. We've seen a bit of a difference. We've seen a bit more of a press. We've seen a bit more of an energy, and the players looked like they wanted to be there yesterday. Yet there were concerning moments in it before I picked up on my opinion of the Frimpong situation. I felt like the last 20 minutes we sorted to seemed to be happy with the 2-0. We dropped off a little bit. I felt we invited pressure a little bit, which is dangerous because...
So can I just jump in there? I think you're spot on in everything that you're saying. I just think they're incapable. I think they can't control the football match. So they sort of then get like 10 players behind the ball and retreat. And you're right, they were happy to get 2-0. They just wanted that clean sheet. And we were very fortunate to get the clean sheet, to be fair.
Absolutely.
I think it was Smith Rowe and Mr. City.
Another team could possibly have punished us. And then the problem with Liverpool then is if they get that one goal, is it going to stop at one goal? And that's been the issue this season. So that was always a bit of a concern. But I don't want to be over negative because we've just won. We've just won. We've kept a clean sheet. We've got 3 points. It was an important 3 points, especially with the fixture that was played before us, a fixture that's coming up today. It's good to go on to the Tuesday game with the win. So I don't want to be over negative. It wasn't the best performance, but it was better.
But speaking about the performance, and that's what I was trying to make the point about goals, over the next coming weeks, what I seen yesterday was, despite the indifferent performance, or certainly an unconvincing performance, because Liverpool have got that opportunity now to play Rio Ngumoha and know that he's a top-level player. You can see that. Mohamed Salah coming into his own, and then Isak coming off the bench. So Alexander Isak is, when Liverpool signed him last season, or last summer, should I say, he was one of the top 3 forwards in world football. He certainly can score goals. We talk about intent. He looked different yesterday to me. He looked different than he did when a few months ago, before he broke his leg. He looked like he had a bit more appetite. He looked like, I'm going to use the word tenacious again, he had a bit more tenacity about him. And he looked fit, which surprised me, because someone who's just come back from a broken leg, who isn't a natural presser in itself, but he just looked fit. I don't know what you thought about that overall performance.
Personally,
sorry, I've asked you the wrong question there. You can talk about Isak, but I'm talking about the idea that Liverpool have got goals in them. If you think between now and over the next couple of weeks to the end of the season, because Liverpool's performances still might be indifferent, goals now can obviously change our fortunes.
Absolutely, that's what we've been missing. We've needed goals. We needed something different. We needed to be able to score goals. We all know. We mentioned before, in the previous episode, you were talking about XGs and stats and all this crap. I'm not interested in them. The only stat is the goals. And what stat was it that mattered yesterday?
Exactly.
It was the 2-0.
Yeah.
It was the 2-0. And not only that, is that will then make a difference with the players. It's positivity. It'll put a little bit of belief back in them. So that's what makes a difference. That's the stat that counts, and that's what makes a difference. In terms of the Isak, I don't feel that, in my opinion, I don't feel we've seen enough of him to be able to comment. He's only just come back. He didn't play the whole game, obviously. He's come on as a sub. I felt that when he did come on, Liverpool's already sat back a bit, so there wasn't the same intensity as
took Verts off at that point as well. You spoke about Verts before.
So I think it's difficult because we didn't see the same game when he was brought on as a sub. We didn't see the same game that we've been playing the rest of the game. So I think to comment on Isak would be
okay, but forget about his performance. The fact that he definitely looked fitter and sharper, and as fitter than I thought he was going to be after the broken leg. I'm saying over the next few weeks, we'll talk about PSG in a moment, but over the next few weeks, just in the league, the fact that you've got a Rio, the fact that you've got a Mo Salah, the fact that then you've got a Ekitike and a Isak, surely you must be more confident going into this.
Of course, to have another striker back, you've got to be confident. He brings another option. I've said before, I'm not 100% convinced he's the right player for Liverpool, but he certainly brings a different options that we've not had for most of the season. So yeah, you've got to have another big player back who's come with a big price tag. You've got to expect things of him, and to have him available again, you've got to expect things and a little bit of positivity from this.
Why do you think Isak's not the right player?
I don't feel we played the correct football for him. Okay. I just don't feel it.
So we're going to segue on to something else then, and I believe that you don't know why Isak is the right player for Liverpool, because none of us do, because we don't know what the hell's going to happen with Arne Slot. So we will go on to that. So the David Ornstein reported, I think he was speaking to NBC a couple of days ago, Chris, and he emphasised that there is no doubt within the club's hierarchy that regarding Slot's future, and they are planning for him to remain in charge until the 26-27 season, or for the 26-27 season. A contract status, and his Slot is currently under contract until June 2027, which we know, while some reports suggest internal talks of an extension until 2030. Ornstein maintains that the existing long-term commitment is the current focus. A strategic fit is that the club reportedly view Slot as the exact profile they would seek if they were conducting a new search today, believing there are no better alternatives currently on the market. You can come back to me on that one. And mitigating factors, FSG's leadership acknowledges clear mitigations for recent poor results, including a high injury rate and a significant transition required following Jurgen Klopp's departure. What do you make of that? Because what that is saying, which we all know anyway, that is he's only got 12 months left on his deal in the summer. Do you think, first of all, this is correct? Is it smoke and mirrors? Is it sort of a false backing? What my concern is a little bit is it looks like it actually could be true this, and he might be the manager. And when you factor in that Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, it's reported this week that they have a fixed term deal for 3 years, and they were never staying beyond that. So they've only got 1 year left, which then sort of makes me think that, well, if you've got the higher end of the structure not sorted, then maybe then you stick instead of twisting, because the new guy, whoever they bring in eventually, the head of the football or whatever they're calling these guys at the moment, they might have a new idea of what to do next. My concern is, Chris, is the fact that have we seen enough this season? Do you buy into the argument that actually this is a transitional season and it was supposed to happen last season? And have we seen enough in everything that we've watched 4 years ago? Actually, do you know what? Go and give them another few hundred million and let's go down this route.
I think there's transitional seasons and then the self-destruction. This has gone beyond transitional. Transitional, yeah, you can totally accept that. You can understand that. But you still expect results. You still expect a fight. That doesn't alter the attitudes that we've seen on the pitch, the management of the players, how they've approached games. That's nothing to do with transition, in my opinion. That is down to how things are being dealt with behind the scenes, managers, coaches, whoever it may be.
I think they look poorly coached. I think there's been too much space in the midfield. In generally the whole play. I alluded to before about Mohamed Salah. I think the drop-off has been accelerated through poor management, and I think poor build-up play. And poor planning. When we talk about these injury situations, we can all have every sympathy in the world with what happened in the summer with Diogo Jota, of course, and any players or coaching staff or anyone involved with the Liverpool Football Club. I have all the sympathy in the world. But what I don't buy into is that if you've got a squad of 25, that all 25 are all massively grieving, because people all grieve in different ways. And people stated that right from the beginning. You know as well as I, Chris, that in a family, for example, someone might be really suffering, someone might be getting on a little bit better, someone else might look like they don't care, or I'm be fine. And I'm not like, we won't go down the rabbit hole of talking too much about grief. I'm just saying that it's not the same for everyone, but also the fact that the injuries, that the squad was too thin on the ground in the beginning. And Conor Bradley, like people can say Leone's injury was unfortunate. Well, Joe Gomez's lack of backup availability isn't unfortunate, because we know how bad he is. And Conor Bradley's injury is unfortunate either, because everyone foreseen that coming, surely, didn't he? Alisson Becker as well being injured. He's been getting injured for a couple of months every season at the moment. The goalkeeper can't kick a ball. The reserve goalkeeper. Again, I mean, what was the thinking behind that? You said you got worries over Isak. I personally don't. But the fact that you do, and the fact that his pressing stats aren't great, then suggesting, okay, well, what's the plan then? So all of this, to me, but going back to it, the poorly coaching and the fact that Liverpool looked a million miles off PSG the other night, I personally wouldn't be giving him another go at this.
No, I think it's a very dangerous approach. I think it's very premature to be saying any of that, because we don't know where the season's going to finish yet. Whilst that results just give us a certainly a better opportunity, especially with fixtures to come. But then we've got to look at our fixtures as well. We've got a few tough fixtures coming up. I think it's Chelsea.
We've got to start off. I'm going to ask you the question. We've got Everton next, which is next Sunday. So we've got Everton away, which is massive. Obviously, we need to win that just for pride, never mind anything else. I've worked out we probably need to win 4 out of the 6. We've got Everton away, we've got Palace home, we've got Man United away, Chelsea home, Aston Villa away, and then Brentford home. So I've worked out, and listen, nothing ever works out on paper, but if you was to beat Everton, and let's say you took Brentford at home, which is difficult in itself, and you beat them, that's 2. And then you'd say Chelsea home, you win that one, 3. and then you beat Palace at home. For those games, you'd be honing in and saying, okay, you got Man United away, you got Villa away, 2 very difficult games, night games as well, I think. No, I think the Man United games are Sunday, but the Villa one's a midweek one, I'm pretty sure. So therefore, when you look at that, you go, okay, you need 4 wins, maybe a draw or so, and you probably finish in the top 5. Chelsea, the reason why I put Chelsea there is because they're our rival to get top 5, so it's a 6-pointer. That sort of gets you top 4. Are you confident that will happen? I'm more confident than I was yesterday.
Can you be confident with anything at the minute? Based off yesterday, yeah, you've got to go with confidence, haven't you? You know, as I say, we seen a little bit of a difference yesterday. We done the result. We got the 3 points. We got the clean sheet. A little bit of hopefully there's a little bit of belief in the squad there now. The Chelsea one's a big one, as you say. That's a 6-pointer. The Villa one, you could probably, it doesn't sound very positive, but we probably get away with a draw with that because they're not gaining any points. So, you know, the biggest one is the Chelsea game. That is, I mean, even a draw, to be honest, it's one that not to lose.
Yeah, no, in isolation, yeah, but you still need to pick up the points now, don't you? Because you got Everton next week and you've got Palace. I think those first 2 games, Liverpool. Listen, we're not going to go on a big winner run and win every game.
No,
but you probably need 6 points from them first 2.
I mean, listen, if you can get 3 points out of all of them, happy days, isn't it? Because then it's in your own hands. But the reality of the way the season's gone, is that going to happen? But what you've also got is, yeah, we're looking at our games, but that is also assuming that the teams around us win their games, and they've not been doing that.
Well, that's why I said 4 out of the 6.
Yeah, so it's that by next week that could all change depending on results. So
well, let's not get lost in what we're saying. So what I'm saying is, so it's realistic now that Liverpool can finish in the top 5. So you're saying if we didn't finish in the top 5, maybe this is a load of nonsense. Really, that Slot won't be the manager next season. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely. I think it has to be.
If he does finish in the top 5 and all of these reasonings are then correct, do you think FSG are keeping him?
I think it's quite possibly, but I think it's very questionable. I think it's a risk. I think it's a huge risk.
I'm not sure all these journalists are always correct either.
No, I am taking it with a pinch of salt because I do feel it's very premature to come up with this.
One of them says that there's no one on the market.
Wow. Is that disrespectful, or is I mean, are they looking at a different market to us?
Well, there's Xabi Alonso there, isn't
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think we needed to say the name. It was obvious. Are they looking at a completely different market?
The problem is, right now, they'll be planning for the next season, and the manager will be in conversations with that, with what footballers coming in, what players are leaving.
Is that why they like Slot? Is Slot not pushy enough with them?
That might be the reason.
If they can keep people happy because they're being allowed to do what they believe to be correct behind the scenes, maybe that's why they like Slot. We don't know that. We don't know what them conversations are, but it's certainly something to think about. You know, at the end of the day, Slot's now seen as a coach, not a manager. So how much say does he have in it? Is he saying, right, there's my list, but obviously you're the ones that's in charge, and we'll work with what you give us type of thing? And if so, then that makes it easier for the hierarchy then, doesn't it? If they've got someone who's not arguing with them.
I think it's an excellent point. I think, let's look at the scenario then, Arne Slot's the manager next season. Do you think it can work? We've seen it work in the first season. We don't really know where we're going. Like, what is the formation moving forward? I struggle
to see it. At this moment in time, I struggle to see it because I don't see this season for me as being more than transition.
I actually personally don't think it's been transition at all. I just think it's a mess.
I think it's way beyond transition.
I don't think it's a transition. I think last season you were transitioning a little bit, and the fact that people coming out and saying, I think it's a bit of a lazy narrative to say, well, if this happened last season, I think if this happened last season, we would have got sacked. I just don't think it's been good enough. I think it's just been an absolute mess. I think when you transition into something, you can see what it's potentially going to be. I don't know what it's going to be, and I still now, nearly 2 years into Arne Slot football, I'm not really sure what it is. If you listen to him, and if you was reading an Arne Slot book, you can probably picture what he wants to play football like. But I've never seen that on the pitch. I've never seen anything that replicates what he talks about. And maybe that's because he's not had enough time to me, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. But if we've got a little bit of egg on our face in the summer, then he is staying. Of course.
Listen, if he stays and it works, I'm happy to have egg on my face. You know, we'll all be happy with that. If he stays and he works, and we get back to winning ways, and we're back, you know, we're pushing on the Champions League with better performances. We're looking at the top of the Premier League again, not looking at trying to get into the top 4 or 5, whatever it'll be next season. Then I think every one of us would be happy to have egg on our face. But I struggle to see it. I just don't see this as a transition whatsoever. I think it's much worse than a transition. And I've said time and time again, I stand by it. My concerns come the second half or the last third of the last season. You could see the change starting to happen then, and it wasn't looking good at that point.
That's what I always say. I always think, who cares if we're wrong? Because if we're wrong, that means we're winning.
Absolutely.
That's all I want to see. But PSG on Tuesday then is obviously a massive one. It probably doesn't feel as big to many Liverpool fans, or as many Liverpool fans as it normally would. Certainly it was last season. We won the game, obviously, last season 1-0. And then we go into that second leg, and I actually thought it was a very good performance. I think the difference between last season's away game, although with that we got took apart and Alisson Becker was phenomenal in that game, you've seen it as a bit of a, well, I certainly thought it was a bit of a one-off, and Liverpool got the victory, and we'll move on and we'll go through and finish the job. This season, there seems to be a chasm between PSG and Liverpool, and there's not many Liverpool fans that I know who are backing Liverpool for this famous Anfield comeback. And when I ever say that, well, I'm not convinced Liverpool will win this, and if I always say back to them, then go and withdraw £1,000 out of your bank, right? And then go and put it on a bet. You put it on Liverpool to go through or PSG to go through, and then that's all of a sudden they start to change their mind. It's all right saying back your team relentlessly, but backing the team anyway. What does that even mean? I'm going to the game, I'm supporting the team, so I'm supporting them anyway. So it's not like I'm not backing them. I'm just thinking about a prediction. Can you see Liverpool coming back into this? I can see Liverpool come back into it. I'm just thinking, can you see it? What will happen? Do you think we will go through, or do you think it's just too much of an ask?
I think at the moment, to be real about it, it's probably too much of an ask. I think it depends what team he puts out, what tactics he goes with, what he tells the players to do. If we can get on that pitch and we can take the game to them in the first 15, 20 minutes and get a goal, I think it could be doable. I really do think it could be doable, because it can be, as we said time and time again, Anfield, European night, can be something else, something different. As Barcelona. So, realistically, my head at the moment is saying it's probably going to be a bit too much to do. But you never know what team he's going to put out. You never know what he's going to be telling them to do. We never know what players are going to actually end up on the pitch. If we get that first goal, it could be a different night. It could be another magic night.
The key thing is, for me, is there's no away goals.
No.
Because there's no away goals. If PSG were to score, people might think, oh, it's all over. But it's actually not, because Liverpool are to win this game. I believe it's going to be a 120-minute game. And I think you're going to need everyone pulling the weight for the whole 2 hours of football. And a lot of bottle, a lot of nerve, and a lot of concentration. Because I'm pretty sure PSG will score on the night. So I think Liverpool are going to have to score 3 minimum. Can Liverpool score 3 when you factor in that you have got goals? That look like there is goals in this team now. Even if you just look at it in isolation, yes, you can see a pathway where Liverpool can score goals. Yeah.
I think the important thing is who gets the first goal. I think if PSG get the first goal and it goes 3-0 aggregate, I think that's a different mindset. And I think we struggle with that.
Do you remember Borussia Dortmund, though? So Dortmund's killed us off a couple of times. And even I was in the stand going, oh my God, like this is it. So you just never know. Football's a funny old game.
That was Klopp's first season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Europa League.
The Europa League, yeah. 2015, 2016, somewhere
2016,
there.
that
2016. Yeah, you never know. Listen, I've just said Barcelona a few years ago, come to Anfield 3-0 down. Who expected that to happen? You just don't expect it to happen. But also, we also know Liverpool can pull things out that you don't expect them to do when it comes to European games. I think if PSG get the first goal and it goes 3-0 aggregate, I don't think we have the mindset at the moment. We don't have the same mentality monsters that we had under Klopp. And I think that would be a struggle. I think if Liverpool can get the first goal and they equalise, so, okay, yeah, overall we need to score 3 goals, but we're still within 2 goals, I think it might be a different story.
Well, if you get the first goal, you're only within 1 goal to take it to extra time, aren't you?
You are, but then if they score to make it 1-1,
Yeah.
then on the night you still need 3 goals.
Yeah.
But you're never more than 2 goals behind because you've got the first goal to begin with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
So I think that makes difference to them getting the first goal and going 3-0 aggregate.
Yeah.
I don't think we have that mentality anymore at the moment.
No, I tend to agree with the whole mentality thing. I just think in isolation, these lads will be looking at it, these players, and be thinking that we're good, you know. And I think they'll be so frustrated of how they've presented themselves or represented themselves for the season. And this is a night now and an opportunity. If I was one of them, I'd be looking at it and say, this is an opportunity for us to shine here. And if we was to beat the favourites and overcome this, we're in the Champions League semi-finals, potentially against Bayern Munich. I know they're a fantastic team as well. Once you get to the semi-finals, you just never know. And I think that they'll be thinking, we're right up for this, and we can really, really do some damage to PSG, because if you go off what I said earlier on, the game at Anfield and the game in Paris last season were 2 different games. And I know PSG were good in that extra time part, but Liverpool have still got a lot they can offer on Tuesday night. And it depends what team they put out, like you said. But you've also got to pick the team here, Chris, in the sense that it's not just 90 minutes. That's the thing. So you got to factor in. Well, first of all, you got to get to extra time. But can you, what's it called? Can you then get through extra time as well? Because if you pick Rio Ngumoha first,
that was my first thought. Then when you said that is Rio, do you start him or do you wait and see where it goes? I mean, I was actually, before you even said that, I was going to say to you, would you start Rio?
I think the problem is with that, Chris, is that, so when we talk about identity, we've spoke about it all season, is that when Rio Ngumoha plays, Liverpool have more identity. So it's like, well, if he's only going to play 60 minutes, maybe you should go 2-0 up first. And then if you have to take him off, then take him off. But at the same time, if you're 1-0 up, if somehow you can get your team, your experienced team 1-0 up and they're giving everything, and then you brought a Rio off the bench against tired defenders, it's like, okay, it's one of them. It's like, is he your first penalty taker or is your last penalty taker? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you haven't answered my question. Do you start Rio? If you're the manager, are you starting Rio on Tuesday?
I think it gives Liverpool more identity, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to start him, and I'm going to then bring players into the game. You got to remember, there's Isak, who also, you couldn't bring him on 60 minutes. You might have to bring him on 80 minutes, because if it goes to extra time, you can't just say, well, you're playing a whole hour of football, because it might be too much.
Does Slot start Rio on Tuesday?
No, I don't think he does. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, that's my concern. So, to go through my team now, we obviously haven't got a choice in the goalkeeper. We know what that's going to be. Although I was critical of him before, I think probably Frimpong was probably the better option than Gomez at right back. Konate Van Dijk's not going to change. I suspect Robbo's going to change for Kerkez. I don't think he'll play the 2 games that close together.
McAllister in for Jones.
So Szoboszlai, yeah. McAllister in for Jones. Salah, Wirtz. We'll probably see Gakpo back into either his left position or Wirtz into the left, maybe, with Ekitike back onto the pitch in place of Rio.
Miss Gravenberg off.
Just don't see him playing. I think he had an awful game the other day.
But then who plays in midfield? You've only picked 2 midfielders.
Oh, I haven't.
You've got Wirtz. I think it's too soft.
Yeah.
You can't play Wirtz and McAllister in the same midfield. It's too lightweight and too slow. They get absolutely torn apart.
I think that's what he's going to do.
I'd stick my life on it. He won't, because it's too lightweight. It's not even.
I don't disagree with you, but
I don't think it's just too slow. It's the fact that they will get taken apart by quick footballers. I just don't think.
Who are you going to leave out then, McAllister, and put Gravenberg in?
I think Gravenberg, Szoboszlai and McAllister will start the game. I think Florian Wirtz will go on the left of a front 3. I think Salah will play right, and I think Hugo Ekitike play centre forward. I think Gakpo doesn't play.
Okay.
Yeah, but there we go. Time for it. Are we going for it? Well, are we going to go for it?
Extra time, yeah.
Extra time. I tell you what, if Liverpool get to the semi-finals of the Champions League, I don't even know what I do. I think it might just actually make this season fantastic. Who knows? We're all in for it if it does happen. My thing from the week is that go and beat Everton. That to me, believe it or not, is the most important, because I don't see Liverpool winning the Champions League. I'd like to see us put in a proper performance, and if we were to go out with pride, but beat Everton on Sunday. We'll catch you soon.